I have the pleasure of welcoming Michael Levin. He is the chairman of Titan Industrial Corporation and the founder chairman of NewView technology company. He's also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and, of course, the entrepreneur residence at the Kauffman Foundation. Michael, pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you for having me.
You have played diverse roles, an entrepreneur and now a mentor and advisor. Need of the hour is we should spread entrepreneurship globally to help not just the developed economies but the emerging economies as well. Your take on it?
I think that the United States can have an important role, a signal role even, in developing, helping countries, emerging countries and others in entrepreneurship. I think we have to be very careful to realize that the ultimate type of innovation that evolves may be different than the American model. We have to be careful not to be too American-centric. But I think it's essential that we help to create jobs and wealth overseas because ultimately, as you've heard in this conference, a subtext is that wealthy, growing economies don't fight with each other. So in addition to the good of innovation in creating jobs, it also tends to bind the world together and create security for everyone.
As a successful entrepreneur yourself, 20 years back to where the scenario is now, if there are two challenges you pick, you say, well, this was tough for me, how would you meet them?
Well, I think, again, a topic that's come up in this session is that first we have to deal with the entrepreneur himself. And I think that there the obstacle is an internal one. The entrepreneur has to decide he can do it. If you believe the chart that we were shown today about people who believe that external forces end up controlling what they do or whether they can control what they do, the entrepreneur believes that he can be in control. That comes from education, it comes from exposure to mentors, to people who make you believe that you can. So rolling the clock back 20 years ago, when I started some of these things, I strongly believed that I could do it. I think the other thing is to realize that you have to grab the opportunity, that it's not a business plan that it takes you to the end result. It is it's the ability to respond to the situation that you face at any given moment. So somewhere between having a bit of process and that famous 60s line of steal this book, which I think implied just do it, somewhere in between those two bookends is the threshold that you have to get across. So not business plan, not process, action-oriented and have faith in yourself are the thresholds that really produce successful entrepreneurs and successful companies.
Finally, I want to ask you how conferences like this and entrepreneurship-focused organization can leverage Council on Foreign Relations to promote entrepreneurship. Is there a role there?
I don't think. The Council on Foreign Relations is a think tank, and they produce lots of studies, lots of books, lots of information that can be utilized by policymakers. It's a bipartisan or nonpartisan organization. So I'm not sure if in your question you're talking about what the Council can specifically do. Their mission is not to create jobs. But I would say, let's say if you take it broader, more broadly, and take the entire, let's say the university community, the government community, the policy think tank community, I believe we have to do some of the things that we have learned here today. I think that the money that government spends has to be looked at more closely to see if there's a payback for that government research. The intellectual property that's trapped inside universities, we have to think about ways of freeing up to create businesses, and the environments that the environment, like you've seen in Silicon Valley, that creates so much success and has become such a worldwide brand. So those lessons we can helpfully suggest to other places. And if you don't have, though, the basic economic conditions that Bob Lighton referred to, such as access to capital markets, transparency, the interconnection with the global economy, you're not going to get results. So if you look at specific cases today where we're looking at both low economic growth and political instability and threat to the United States in areas like Gaza, in areas like Iraq or Afghanistan, or maybe even Iran. How do we take some of the things that we've discussed in this interview and some of the things at this conference and say, look, this is not going to change, for example, in Iraq, by the U.S. government trying to create a new economy. That is not going to do it. The private sector has to be engaged. The entrepreneurs have to be engaged. But there has to be a framework in which that can work, which, for example, in Iraq doesn't exist yet.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.